Hi, it's Charlie with Competitive Edge. In this short video, I'm going to show you what my experience was with the Alpine stove by Camp Chef, using it in the 10x10 Kodiak stove tent. You may have seen my videos of the 12x12 where I use the Colorado Cylinder Spruce Stove, which I absolutely love, by the way. There's a link to that in the description if you want to see the unboxing and the details of the Spruce stove. But in this video, I'm going to focus mostly on the Camp Chef Alpine model, and at the end, I'll give you some side-by-side comparison differences and similarities. So if you pick it up or have it shipped, it comes in the same box. This was shipped, and you can see it's a little beat up. Fortunately, everything inside the box was okay, and I'm unboxing this on my back porch. It came in the afternoon, so it's a bit dark outside. It feels as heavy as the Colorado Cylinder Stove that I used in the 12x12 demo, but we take this wrapping off and let me show you what's inside. We've got our owner's manual, of course, and then as you can see, everything's stuffed inside here. So this is one of the two shelves. You just take the wrapping off and then I'll pull out the other one. This is how they go on with cast iron stuff. Sometimes it's a bit of a fit. You got to use a little bit of pressure, but one goes on each side, and they're optional. You don't have to use them. Now, one of the differences between Camp Chef's Alpine and Colorado Cylinder Spruce model is the Alpine has a 10-foot stack, and the Spruce has an 8-foot. I'm kind of a bigger fan of the longer one because you're less likely to get any embers on the top of your tent. We've got the internal log grate right there. Both the Spruce and the Alpine have those. And I'm going to throw some of this kindling back in, and I'll burn that in a minute. But you can see the spark arrestor is underneath there, folded up flat. I'm gonna try and unfold that so that it can fit around the pipe. That did take me a few minutes. If you've seen the Spruce model, this is a little bit different. You'll notice that this pops on, and then there's like a pressure nut that you turn, and it holds it on. But you do definitely want to use pliers. I hand tightened these as hard as I could and thought they were good until I started to walk off, and all of them fell off. So make sure you pack pliers with you when you take this stove out, and it'll hold them on really well. But it allows you to. They're a bit forgiving. You can make sure the stove's level. So you'll notice that I put the top section of the stovepipe along with the spark arrestor on top of the stove because it's time to cure it. Something happens when you burn for the first time, and it cures the paint or oxidizes it or something. So you have to do that first, and you do not want to do that inside your tent. So let your first burn be pretty hot and not inside of your tent. So once you get this lid, and I end up adding another log, you open this vent here because we want it to burn pretty hot. Again, you don't want this inside your tent on the first burn. Even if you're in a bind, you just don't. It creates a fume and a weird smoke and kind of burns your eyes. So you can see the shine kind of coming off of the stove and that stovepipe because I'm burning it fairly hot. If we take a look inside here, you can see what I'm talking about. We got a decent flame there. Now, if you look at the top of the chimney here, you're going to notice some flames coming out. When you have this inside the tent, you never want to burn it so hot that flames are coming out of the stovepipe. That's bad news. So the next morning I open this up, and you can tell that it didn't leave a ton of ash, which is really nice, which means it's a good efficient burn. It was good wood, had plenty of ventilation. Now it's time to test this stove inside the tent, and this is the Kodiak 10x10 stove ready tent. If you want to know more information about this particular tent, there's a link in the description below. First things first though, we're going to find an adequate stove mat to put underneath the stove. And you can put the shelves on if you want to, it's optional. I like to have them on. And again, I want to emphasize that you do need to use pliers to keep the legs on the Camp Chef Alpine model. On the Colorado Cylinder model, you don't have to worry about that. Now when you put the stovepipe on, you do that from the outside, with the exception of the bottom section. The bottom section is going to have a damper in it, and it will not fit through the stove jack hole. So this goes on from the outside and nests into the single section that's already inside the stove on the inside. And you can see that the damper at the bottom, that horizontal piece, it's got a circular piece in there that it's a damper. It slows the burn and keeps more heat in. You will save a lot of time and expense in fuel if you use that damper properly. I took a screenshot of my phone so you can see the temperature that we're dealing with. 31 degrees. Yeah, it says 23 because it feels like 23, but it was 31 degrees. So we're going to light this up just like you would any fire, using good kiln-dried wood in this particular video. This thermometer here has two temperatures. The one on top is the temperature of the floor in the tent, and the one on the bottom is the temperature of this device that is on the cot on the sleeping bag as the stove is burning and trying to get it warm for the first time here. It started to get warm. It was exponential. I held this in the center of the room, and you can see it gets up to like 77 degrees, and I have to put this down and open the windows because it's starting to burn too hot. So what I ended up doing, I ended up closing this vent about halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way for a moment, but you don't want to close it completely or it will deprive your fire of oxygen and it will go out altogether. So you just want to close it a bit. And I did tell you want to close that damper not all the way, but I closed mine at about a 45-degree angle, and that saves heat without making the fire go out as well and smoke inside of the tent. We want to get our tents warm, right? That's the reason we have the stove in the first place, but you can burn too hot, and you want to be careful for safety concerns, but also to protect your equipment. The silicone ring that's on these stove jacks is a generous 575 degrees. It's hard to damage them. It's really hard. It doesn't happen very often, but it can happen. And if you're not careful and you just go crazy and burn hot on a warm day, you might damage that. So you can see that we have smoke here, and the reason we have the smoke is because I've deprived it of some of the oxygen, but it got warm really fast. I was really impressed. This 10x10 heats up a lot faster than the 12x12 did for me. So having used both of these, which one would I recommend? It's a little hard to say, but let me tell you what the differences are, and I'll tell you what I would choose. The stovepipe on the Camp Chef wins for height. The Colorado Cylinder stovepipe wins for quality. I do like that better. That's probably the biggest difference, is putting the stovepipe together on the Spruce on the Colorado Cylinder on the left was very easy. I mean, I really kind of struggled with the Camp Chef Alpine model on the right. I mean, I really had to kind of get some pliers and bend the tapers in a little bit more. As far as vents go, the Spruce on the left wins, no doubt about it. And I like the ring. They both have rings. You can't see it on the Alpine on the right hand side, but they both have rings. But the Spruce on the left does have more ventilation, clearly, and has that it's a bit nicer of a ring. And that ring is what you use to close the vents. You hook it with that so you're not touching anything with your bare hands. I think Camp Chef wins when it comes to the shelves. You can see there's more material in the Spruce on the left, but it does only come with one by default. Maybe that will change at some point, but the Alpine model on the right came with both of those, which I thought was great. As far as the legs go, I have to give this one to Camp Chef. I like, even though they fell off when I just hand tightened them, they were rock solid when I used, and it doesn't have to be a big pair of pliers, just something to tighten it on, but allows you to level it a little bit better. I've had some complaints from people who can't get the legs off of the Colorado model if it's screwed on too tight. They come off pretty easily on the Camp Chef model. Now, I've never used the water tank, so I X'd it out. I'm not going to take it into much consideration in comparing the two models. I've heard nothing but good about it, so I'm sure it's awesome. I've just used a normal tea kettle and set it right on top, and that has worked just fine for me. Now, both of these are amazing products. They both do a great job at heating up the tent. a great job, and I hesitate in picking one over the other. I think the spruce on the left has better quality. My only problem with the spruce on the left, it is more expensive if you include the nesting stovepipe, which everybody needs, and if you include the water tank on the left, it actually ends up being literally twice as much as the Camp Chef model on the right. And that about does it for the unboxing and the comparison between the two models. I hope it was helpful. If it was, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. I know I've missed something that somebody's had a question about, and if you will please comment below, we'll get it answered for you. Thanks for watching.